And action! Hi, it's me, Joan Manson of Manson Fine Art, and that's my dryer in the background telling me that the drying is done. I have just finished doing a demonstration of an experimental landscape skyscape of the Aurora Borealis. Let me get that into focus so you might be able to see it, but you'll get to see it in the video. And this was using primarily Pan Pastels, and the white is primarily the white from the Faber-Castell Polychromos soft pastels, which are not as soft as other soft pastels, but softer than new pastels. And I hope that you're going to enjoy this demonstration. It shouldn't be a very long one, but uh, it's an experiment, and I've never, everything is done from the imagination. I did use a photograph for the outline, a basic layout of the mountain range, but it ended up not looking at all like my photograph. So it's pretty much all from my brain, which I enjoy doing from time to time. And I hope that you enjoy watching and sharing with me. If you have any questions, please post them in the comments below. I'll be happy to answer anything that I can. And I thank you all. Hi there. I'm getting ready to start on a From the Imagination landscape featuring the Aurora Borealis, aka the Northern Lights. I've never seen them, but I've seen them in documentaries, and I've seen them in movies, and I've seen lots of photographs of them, and the diaphanous quality of them is really something beautiful. And I see them in my mind, and I'm hoping that I can do some justice on this piece of black paper. Now, this is the Canson Mi Tientes pastel, and usually when I'm using Pan Pastels, I prefer tooth. But in this instance, I'm going to turn this over, and I'm going to use the smooth side of the paper, which is what I prefer when I'm doing pastels. As a sort of a basis for my mountains, I'm using this photograph, which I plan, I don't know what I knocked over, I'm using this photograph that I plan to use in a future landscape from the Southwest. This is from Sedona, Arizona, particularly because I liked the mountain edge against those stratus clouds. So, they don't have to be exact, I'm not concerned about that, but they are going to be white because northern lights only happen, where it snows, which is absolutely not Florida. If we had northern lights here, I'd pretty much know that the world is turning upside down. So I'm just going to do a little drawing with the edge. Now this is a Faber-Castell pastel polychromos, and it comes in a long stick. They don't come in half sticks, so I've broken it off. They break off really easily. And it really doesn't have to be close to exact or anything. I'm just doing a little drag here. Whoops. I probably should have taped this down, but hey, I didn't. This is an experiment. It'll either be good or it won't. And if it's not good, it goes in file 13. And if it is good, I'll set it aside. And you will be seeing this. If you have seen this video, it means that I like the way the drawing came out. That's pretty obvious. Okay. Whoops. As I said, I should have taped it down. Now, I'm heavy at the very edge where I want it to be whitest, but I'm dragging it along, and I've got that black coming through. I want that. I want that sense of dark and gray and shadow. And I have no clue what's going on there with the mountains in the north, but I'm lay odds they've got some nice granite up there. And it looks pretty nice, actually. I like that. This isn't meant to be a really heavy piece, as in finely detailed with every crevice and every shadow depicted. English is not always my first language, even though I was born here and raised here. I do have the occasional lapse in language. And I like the way that looks. So I'm going to move on to the next thing, which is laying out my Aurora Borealis, or the Northern Lights, whatever we like. I like saying Aurora Borealis. Okay, I am using magenta tint, ultramarine blue, I can't always remember, ultramarine tint, the yellow green tint, and white, which I may or may not use at all. I'm going to start with the green, although I'm wondering if I shouldn't start with the green shade. This is the green shade, and this is the green. I want it to be more luminescent, but I think I'll start with the green shade. And I'm using the square applicator. I'm pushing up. I'm going to come along the edge of the mountain. I like that. And I think I'll move over a little bit more of the shade. And as you drag it up, the black shows through the night. Okay. Get a piece of my paper towel. I'm developing this as I go. I picked out the colors and I had a vision in my mind about how this is supposed to look, but, and here's the big but, things change as you go along. Life changes as you go along. This is the way it works. I want to add some blue. This is the blue shade. And I'm going to add some blue. That's the night sky. Now I could mix it with a little black and make it a little bit darker. But I really want vibrance and light in the sky. I'm happy with that. Now, I think we'd like to work with some of the magenta. Get the green out of here for a bit. Wipe off my brush. And you know what I think I need? I think I need some yellow. Go over here to my diary lid yellow. Um, and I think a touch of yellow here. It's very nice. The pastels pretty much cover each other, and then as it spreads out, it shows the color beneath. Let me take that green, like that bright green. This is again the yellow green. And that green shade, and I have a touch of it up here. Go back over here. Okay. Because the colors do overlap, they're translucent. In areas that, from what I've seen, they appear to be thick and opaque as they're closer to the earth. But as they move away from the surface of the earth, they're translucent. And I need a touch more of this magenta. Over here. And then a touch more of the dairy light yellow coming down. Just showing it at the edge of the mountain because sometimes they're shown in the photographs or the films above. Okay, now this isn't the most wonderful, perfect image of an aurora borealis, and I'll attempt it in the future again. But this is not a bad beginning. As I said, this is from memory. I chose not to use a reference photo, so sort of, kind of, I'm using a million reference photos. They also, in some instances, have this wonderful little curve thing going on. And clean that off a little bit more. And wipe that down a little bit more. That's the magenta. And I'm going to take the magenta tint. There we go. I like that. And add that a little bit here. A little too much. It's not going to make it all go away. I just want to pan it down a bit and come back again. There we go. And come back here with the yellow here. Whoops! I should have taped it down. When I turn my page, I normally tape them down. Okay, I'm done playing with that now. I'm going to come back with my white Faber-Castell polychromos. I want to make sure that my edges are overseeing the edge of the mountain. There we go. Now I'm applying a lot of pressure to make this white as strong as it is. The polychromos isn't necessarily the best pastel to use on a black paper, but it holds nicely. It runs. It's very smooth. It's not quite as hard, but almost as hard as the new pastels. Now, I'm going to bring out another of my little on-the-job checking here. I have another applicator, and this is a square edge applicator, and I'm going to get a square edge sponge. Somewhere along the line I got a couple of extras of the applicators, and I'm very pleased that I did, because then I have moments like this when I would like to use that applicator, but it's too messed up with all the millions of colors that I have on it, and I'm not going to wait till tomorrow for it to be dry. And now I'm going to take my white pastel, just bring this down a little bit smoother. Just in the shadow area. just blending in the shadow areas. Because it's not meant to be truly distinct. And then I'll come back over this again. Okay. Whoops. I'm experimenting to see if this is a good way to build up that white using two different kinds of pastels, and could have left it alone, but now I'm just going to bring it back to the way it was looking by lightly spreading the Faber-Castell pastel across the bottom in the areas that I just smudged out. Go. Now, I am going to very carefully, very gently put some of the white pastel on the edge of my applicator, run it across the bottom of one of the rotations of light, and help it separate out. There we go. A little bit of white, a little bit of black are really a great cure for some errors or all right. Clean that off. And I'm thinking I'm not happy with, I'm not thinking, I know darn well I am not happy with this white. So I'm going to get my Rembrandt pastel. I have a small piece already broken off of this from previous usage. It's much softer. There we go. My snow-covered areas. There are a lot of people who prefer to use Pan Pastels because it's, in a sense, cleaner. They don't like to get the chalk on their fingers because it's yucky to them. Just like I don't like to eat gritty foods because I don't like the feel on my tongue. You know, that would be like eating things like haggis or sweetmeats Well, haggis is a sweetmeat, I guess. But I don't mind having it on my fingers. You can see this is a much softer pastel. And keep in mind when you make these little pieces of pastel, you don't throw them away. You use them. And you can see still I have the black paper underlying, causing that gray. That's what causes the gray, is the black paper. Black is a wonderful paper for using for colored pencils as well as pastels. And if you want to do black and white images where you're just using one, you know, you should try doing a drawing using white pan pastel and a sponge applicator. Okay, that one's happy. Let me wipe my little fingers off for a bit. And I like, you know, it's not a superb image, but I like it. And I want to add some stars, not crazy amounts of stars. So I'm going to use the little corner of my Rembrandt pastel. And I have ordered back on a selection of white pastels to use with my work before I repurchased full sets of pastels. A little cluster over there, a little cluster over here. It's the notion of clusters and mistiness in the sky. The blue shows through. A happy accident. Not all accidents on the art page are happy. Many can be corrected. Others are at file 13. When you're first beginning your work, I would hold on to most of what you do, or unless it's really that terrible, because it gives you a chance to look back and see your work and your improvements, and to see where in fact you are going right. It's just as important to know what you're doing right as it is to know what you're doing wrong. In the olden days, when I used to be a TA and that's teaching assistant in college at Jersey City State College, as a matter of fact, I substituted in classes, and I was popular with students because they liked my critiques. And my critiques, not unlike many of my professors, weren't what I was doing wrong. It was what I was doing right, so that I could duplicate the correct thing. It's like, your image looks like it's floating and not resting on the surface. So you can add a little yellow and purple and make it whatever. But what you've done here, this is absolutely wonderful. If you can duplicate the way you've done those clouds and dealt with that again and again, you've got a hit on your hands. So it's that, and when you're looking at your own work, do the same thing. You know, just look at it and say, I really like that. Look, don't look to see what you don't like. Look at it in parts. You know, you look at the whole and then start looking at sections of it and see the things that you like. And those are the things you want to duplicate. Now, I believe I have completed this piece. As I said, oh, you know what I think I ought to do? I ought to add a little bit of blue. I have the blue tint. Let me see if I add a little blue. Did I get the wrong one? Ah, I got the wrong one. No, I didn't get the wrong one. Add a little blue tint to the foreground. Yeah, you know, it makes it a little bit cooler. It's still very light. It's not coming off as being blue, but it adds a tint. I like that. There we go. There we go. I like that. That was very nice. I think I need a little bit more here. I don't have any blue here. Because you, of course, know that white isn't white and black isn't black in nature. It's the absence of all colors, or the containing of all colors. There's too much there. In painting, black means it's all the colors, and in painting, white means it's none of the colors. In light, it's the opposite. All of the colors make white, none of the colors make black. Don't like the way that worked out. Just smudge it through. Just smudge that up a bit so it looks like it's being covered by lights from the aurora. Okay. And I think I'll just put one little star over here. Okay, it's one little star over there. And another one over here. Okay, very good. Okay, I now pronounce this experiment in a primary sketch of the aurora borealis to be complete. I thank you so much for joining me. I hope you enjoyed yourself. This isn't really meant to be a tutorial, but if you're able to follow along, just pause me and do what I'm doing and start up again. Because that's what's the wonder of YouTube, is you just start and move on whenever, stop and start whenever you feel like it. And I think you'll have a good time. I enjoyed sharing this with you, and I look forward to working with you again. Bye-bye, everybody.